Okay, guys, this is my friend Nick.
And this is my popcorn.
Yeah, he's a little bit of an oddball, but we like him for who he is. And I think you know who Tweedledee over here is.
What the hell was this?
I just call him
What's
Beetle.
Ugh! What was this? This was Civil War! Instead we got a bunch of guys in spandex! Oh my god! I haven't seen anything disrespectful to its source material since fucking Pain and Gain. Oh! Okay, I give this film two things. Both of these were started by a guy named James Buchanan, and the guy and that American man and the with the trash can lid.
You have
2 out of 10.
Did you
And
mean-
that's being generous,
Did
damn
you
it.
mean-
That is being generous.
Did you mean Captain America?
Whatever. This wasn't Civil War. Ugh.
At least it pleases the
you
ladies.
have no idea what you're talking about, do you?
Well, we had to get that guy out of the way. So, what do we all think of the film?
The skin tight suits please the ladies.
I love this movie, but anyone who's praising this and taking cheap shots at Batman vs Superman using this movie, go fuck yourselves!
And half your audience is deaf. Good job.
I'm
what-
sorry. That's how angry this stuff gets me. Anyone who wants to praise this movie, I have no problem with that. I love this movie. It was the best Captain America movie. And this guy knows that I think the Captain America movies are the best of the Marvel movies besides the Avengers. Heck, I place both the original Cap and Cap 2 above Avengers 1. And Cap America 3 and Avengers 2 are tied. That's how much I love this little mini franchise inside the big Marvel MCU.
What did you think, Nick?
As a common moviegoer that doesn't really go to movies that often and doesn't really have extensive knowledge on the source material or just, keeping up in general, it's a very enjoyable movie that anybody would enjoy. I'd recommend you watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, there's dudes punching people and there's laser beams.
Well,
Well, then that's why you go to Battleship, and Battleship is... Ugh.
no.
Yeah, but it's Iron Man and Captain America punching each other.
Well, that's true.
Who doesn't want to see see a guy with a shield fight a guy in a tin can suit of armor?
I thought this film was great. It actually was.
Yes.
It was I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a bit disjointed in the beginning. Like, it throws a couple things at you, and it takes a little bit of time.
Like Batman vs Superman, kind of, and any other Zack Snyder productions.
How many Zack Snyder things have you seen? You've seen
Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman.
and Watchmen. That's about it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I've seen portions of Watchmen, so yeah. I've seen at least the opening, so yeah, that's 3.
Here's something we didn't get to do last time. You guys want to talk about trailers before we get into, like, the spoilers? Okay, the Star Trek Beyond. I don't know if any of you are into Star Trek.
I saw that, had a little glimmer of interest. I'm not the biggest Star Trek fan. My mom is more so, and I'll get into that franchise when it's done.
I've seen that trailer's been around for several months, and right off the bat, it plays the song from the first film, Sabotage. It's actually being directed by not J.J. Abrams, but Justin Lin. I think he did some of the Fast and Furious films, and it kind of shows. This one feels a lot looser.
I'm going to tell you guys something that's going to make you very upset. What if the next Avengers movie was directed by Michael Bay?
Nick, if that ever happened, I don't know. I think that would be the most awesomest thing ever! Because here's why.
Explosions?
Avengers had even the nostalgia critic admitted this. The first Avengers, its plot was literal shit. But all we cared about was watching all of these superheroes getting together and kicking people's asses. So imagine Michael Bay amping it up and amping them up with his explosion, spectacular extravaganza stuff he does with the Transformers.
The man's fetish with explosions is remarkable.
What did you think of the Star Trek Beyond trailer?
I wasn't really paying attention to the trailers too much. They looked interesting, but I was just...
The Doctor Strange thing looked. Oh my god!
Doctor Strange looks great. Like
I can't wait.
Like I'm gonna actually see that in 3D. Great.
Oh my god! I want that.
Because the
Give
visual,
me.
there's a lot of visual spectacle to what was shown in that trailer.
Oh my god! They might have found something that actually tops the Captain America movies. And
I wouldn't mind having my ears raped by that old like THX intro. I wouldn't mind that if the movie was Doctor Strange.
Also, I just now there is one other thing I do want to say that is about this movie that pissed me off when it first happened.
Okay, I guess we're now going into spoiler territory.
Spoilers.
Yep, because I really need to get this off my chest, and people complaining about.
Here, let me give a proper spoiler warning real quick.
No, yeah.
I'm gonna give a proper spoiler warning. So.
Oh no! Before you, I'm not getting spoiling anything yet. Well, if you haven't seen Batman vs Superman either, then yes, turn the video off right now.
If you're one of those people that gets angry when people say something about movies, get the fuck out of here. I don't know why I did that.
Mm-hmm.
I apologize.
Yes, thank you for apologizing. Moving on. People complained about, oh, man, Lex Luthor's actor sucks. They at least explained that his character was not the regular Lex Luthor. It was Lex Jr. Spider-Man, on the other hand, has no excuse. His actor just was terrible.
Tom Holland, you're bad, bro.
I'm sorry. Right. Andrew Garfield gave a better performance, and might I add, I'm with the nostalgia critic on the side that those movies were better than... Well, no. The original Amazing Spider-Man was better than any of the original Spider-Man trilogy. But Amazing Spider-Man 2, yeah, it kinda...
I liked the original Spider-Man 1 and 2, but 3 just disappointed me with Emo Peter.
Actually, that's the one that didn't disappoint me, to be honest.
The first Spider-Man film from 2002, that was probably my favorite film when I was little. It holds a special place in my heart, but I do think that the Amazing films are better, and I don't say that lightly.
I think with Emo Peter, it didn't upset me more than it was just strange, and it just made me...
But that's in a lot of all the other media. Yeah, when he gets the symbiote, he goes angry. It's like he just acts like an emo little douche, pretty much, in every other time. So you can't hold that portion.
But can we all agree that the dance scene was just horrid?
What dance scene?
In Spider-Man 3.
What dance scene?
Oh my gosh.
Now you're touching on
the dance scene and Dirty Dancing.
Who's Tobey Maguire again?
He was that guy in Wonder Boys with Michael Douglas and Robert Downey Jr. I love Wonder Boys.
I really...
So you love boys?
Wonder Boys. I'm showing you Wonder Boys when you come over to my house. That and Bad Lieutenant with Nicolas Cage.
May God have mercy on your soul. Hey, at least he's not selling you a Eraserhead like he did me.
I might actually be in the minority of you two. I like Tom Holland in this role. There's not been a bad actor to portray Spider-Man once. You're not turning this into a snuff film just because of my opinions.
Now you know why I have popcorn. Don't interrupt a husky man eating popcorn.
That's why I stopped myself.
I will say this: that Peter Parker in this movie people seem to be commending him for the fact that he's poor. I don't really see Peter Parker as poor.
I mean, maybe
the dumpster diving thing I think is a neat touch for him getting the technology, but
bro, some rich people dumpster dive just for the hell of it.
Yeah, but in general, what the hell? You're gonna complain about Lex Luthor being too young and being mentally bonkers, but yet Aunt May gets to look like the hot MILF next door.
She was pretty hot.
And there were some pretty weird innuendos in there. If you've seen Linkar's review of One More Day, that little complaint he makes at the end about the meat cakes, combined with some things in the film, yeah, it's gonna rub you the wrong way.
Well,
You know, I'm surprised.
if you're watching a movie or anything that has Robert Downey Jr., you should expect sexual innuendos.
No, I mean,
I'm surprised how
we're showing you one more day, and then I'm going to tell you what scene I'm talking about from the movie. And yeah, it's going to creep you out more than anything else you...
Is it worse than 50 Shades of Grey?
No.
Okay, I can handle it.
But it's still going to be a little bit creepy.
I'm surprised how young they went with Aunt May this time around. I mean, just because it's an aunt doesn't mean it should be a grandmother's age. But still, I'm surprised. I mean, Rosemary.
No, I didn't think she had to be. I thought she could have been in her 40s.
Marissa Tomei is 50. Make of that what you will.
Wait, the actor that they used?
Yeah, for Aunt May.
She looks freaking in her 30s. She looks like the hot mom next door who's 30.
She's in her early 50s.
Congrats to her then, damn.
Yep. But yeah, people will come. I'm pretty sure if no one complains about her looks, though, and yet they complained about how Andrew Garfield didn't look too nerdy enough, I'm going to punch you.
Yeah, that I kind of agree with because here's the thing. Being a nerd today is not like it was in the 60s.
Just like being an ant in the 60s is not like being an ant today.
I wouldn't say that. But the thing is, they still want to remain faithful to Peter Parker. So what do? They play up the social awkwardness. You could be GQ's sexiest person of the year and still be socially insecure. It doesn't just happen to ugly people.
I can attest to that. I was bullied just as much as the fat guy next door, and my friends on my gaming enthusiast podcast, Fatal Mephisto, is boggled by how I have my looks, and yet I don't have a girlfriend. He's boggled by that. Want to know why? Because social awkwardness is what holds me back. Mm-hmm. That is what they were going for with Andrew Garfield, yet people complained about his looks. So
they actually call him something out of Twilight.
Exactly. And yet they're not, and yet I'm expecting them to either A, apologize if they don't want to look like hypocrites for saying those things, or B, start bashing Aunt for looking too young.
But I don't think anyone's going to bash Aunt May. But let's tackle the real meat of the issue here. What was wrong with Tom Holland's performance as Spider-Man?
I think he
tried
too hard to be the nerdy teenager.
Yes, he tried not too hard to be the nerdy teenager. He tried too hard to be Spider-Man in general. He was trying to take He was trying. I'm going to explain this.
I didn't really get to see the nerd in him because to see the nerd, we have to see him in like a school setting to be a nerd. I'm just going to be honest right there.
Oh, he was nerding out a little bit when he was talking with Tony.
Yeah, maybe a little.
But here's the thing.
But not enough to really make an impression.
Well, then I'll rephrase. He tried too hard to be a socially awkward teenager.
It's kind of like they showed him the 2 previous Spider-Man, and he said, okay, people love Toby for being socially awkward and looking nerdy, and they loved Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man because he was always talking, he was making quips and jokes and stuff. So let me do that. But then he just clanked it up to 11 and just was trying way too hard.
They didn't say do that. Go do that.
So you guys aren't looking forward to Spider-Man: Homecoming?
I'll still watch it.
I'll watch it, definitely. I'll even add it to my collection of Spider-Man movies. By the way, I own all 5. Yes, I can pull them out.
I criticize things, but in the end, I'm not going to bash it too hard because I know I'm just going to be that one dude that actually goes.
Yeah,
the same thing with video games. You see people, they trash AAA titles like Call of Duty.
But they're still standing in line to buy them.
Yeah, and then they trash Call of Duty or Halo, and then on the release day, you still see them outside wherever they're buying it.
Mm-hmm. And for people, Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man 2.
Boom, trilogy. There's my childhood.
This is something that I kind of understand where you guys are coming from, but I encourage you to let him grow and to keep seeing him in the future.
I'll give him a chance.
Pass one of those mic and to get the taste of butter out of my mouth.
Sure.
I'll give him a chance, definitely. But I'm just saying that what Ben Affleck did, how he managed to look at what was his name, Michael Keaton from Tim Burton's Batman, and Christian Bale from Christopher Nolan's Batman, and found a good middle ground between the two.
Yeah.
And this one didn't. Like, he came off as too over, like, socially awkward word of a Spider-Man. Like, he was trying too hard to be, oh, hey, oh, what's going on, wiki wah. And then he came off as, oh, I'm talking way too much. I'm trying to force jokes in there.
Because being socially awkward and trying to be funny don't mix.
No, it's not that. That's worked in Amazing Spider-Man. That's what made the first film somewhat enjoyable, and that's why they still got a sequel.
I like to think that the mask allows him to cut loose.
But he didn't
say the things you don't really get to say.
Right. And he didn't do horribly, but yeah, I would definitely give me Andrew Garfield again.
Because the actor doesn't have much experience as Spider-Man for being Spider-Man.
Yes, and he's trying to come into the major Marvel MCU where we get all these good actors who play their role nearly perfectly, and yet he comes in newbie and is just falling flat.
Well, see, I cut him slack because what you have to remember is he's a new actor to the character. He's stepping into a character which other actors have left a pretty good legacy and expectations.
And this time around, you have a younger actor.
Yeah, he's young, inexperienced. They throw him up next to more seasoned actors.
You want to know how young he is?
Roles.
He's a few days younger than Nick here. A few days younger than him.
And I'm turning 20 this month. So.
Damn. Yeah.
So I cut him some slack because then, you look at him, you look at Tom Holland. And
but then again, you could also kind of say the same thing for, not the age thing, but Ben Affleck. He hadn't had any experience with Batman. He had experience with Daredevil, but people hated him for that. And were telling him, don't screw Batman like you screwed Daredevil. Don't screw... They were telling him, don't do his performance from... So he had no experience to draw on because he was hearing, okay, my past experience is a bad experience, so I shouldn't do anything related to that.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael Keaton was labeled as the best Batman. And Christian Bale,
ironically, Michael Keaton sort of got the same treatment as Ben Affleck. People were petitioning him to not be Batman. Like, they were telling Warner Brothers, no, we don't want Mr. Mom as Batman.
Exactly, and but even then, he ended up being good, remember?
Yeah.
And those two have left Christian Bale and him left legacies with Batman. Pretty deep shoes to fill. And then you come in, and Ben Affleck, he came in, he had all the odds stacked against him. They were telling him, don't do what you did during the Daredevil movie. He had two legacies to live up to that were pretty big giants. And yet he still managed to pull it off. You could say it was probably because of his age, but he still managed to pull it off, whereas this guy couldn't.
Okay, well,
I'll give him a little more slack than I did because of his age thrown in.
Okay, but let's look at it for an example. So, Tom Holland, inexperienced actor, young dude, doesn't really know much about being Spider-Man in multiple films or whatever.
Doesn't really know much about being in blockbusters. The closest thing is like In the Heart of the Sea, I think it was.
That's where I'm giving him slack because of the age.
And then, as I was saying, you're taking Tom Holland in the supporting role of Spider-Man, and then you're throwing him up next to all these other elite actors. You're throwing him up with Robert Downey Jr. You're throwing him with Scarlett Johansson. All these other experienced actors, he has to, keep up with them or even at times outperform them in certain scenes where Spider-Man takes prevalence.
I'll give him a more slack than what I was giving
So,
him.
like I said, you're taking a young actor, not much experience yet in the business, not much experience with Spider-Man, and you're throwing him up with these people who have been actors for a multitude of years. They've played many roles. They're comfortable with the roles they have. Because we all know that Robert Downey Jr. is basically Tony Stark.
He fits
Yeah.
He fits in like a glove.
Exactly.
He doesn't fit it like a glove. It's a latex spray on his hand.
Pretty much. So that's why I give Tom Holland some slack. And that's
By the way, the Iron Man glove, the nice touch.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I forgive him for the quips and all that. And in all honesty, the scenes where he performed in his action scenes were very nice.
Yes,
Definitely.
Oh yeah, I was just. I even yelled it during the theater a little bit. I said, "Yeah," and when he said something like, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't do that," or something like this.
I know what scene you two enjoyed. You guys ever see Empire Strikes Back? And I actually said to myself, I know where this is going.
Yep, I like that scene.
And one thing I did
that was a good joke. I did say he got some good jokes in. It's just he tried too much. If he had more jokes that were like that were solid, not just random bullcrap spouted during battle that made no sense.
Well, see, and then one thing, you guys, you're only also looking at his vocal performance. What really had me going for him was his actual physical performance. Because even during his fight scenes, his action scenes, yeah, he was Spider-Man. He was doing what he was supposed to do. But you could also see, Peter's, inexperience with his powers. He's young. He doesn't know how to fight. He's just barely getting into this. And you could see that in the way he fights. He fights in a kind of childish manner. He gets the job done, but he's rough around the edges. He's not a polished blade.
Okay.
You've got Cap, who's a super soldier, been in wars. You got Tony, who is a master weapons creator. He's been with that suit for who knows how long.
Nick, I got a new opinion on him now.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense that he fits the role of he looks like an inexperienced person.
Mm-hmm.
I can see why they chose him. Specifically because he himself is inexperienced and his character is inexperienced going up against these guys.
Yep. Because you're looking at the setting. You're looking at the setting of this movie. Even Peter in the movie says, "I've only had these powers for 6 months." You look at his original suit before Tony amped him up. His suit was very basic. It looked worn down. It wasn't right. Professionally done. When you look at the original Spider-Man trilogy, Peter gets his powers, and then boom, he makes this suit that looks like it's all professionally done. But no, this Spider-Man, he just had a very basic suit. He looked like just a regular person.
Yes, you're changing my opinion on him.
And then once Tony contacts him, he picks him up, and then he gives him upgrades.
Right.
So not only that, now Peter has to get used to a high-tech suit, more functionality. Things
kind of like the Iron Spider in the Ultimate Spider-Man
Yeah,
series.
see, he doesn't have experience with his new suit. I mean, of course, his web slingers are still his. It's but
that's the thing that he had the best control over. But
yeah, that was the only element that he had with that suit that he was familiar. I mean, everybody sees that from the trailers. They're going wild. He had little closing eyes. That was new to him. Before, he just had a pair of goggles.
Right.
So, it actually worked out very well, the physical performance, inexperienced actor playing an inexperienced character.
Right.
Who's taking on a very big role in this clash between Titans.
And the thing that you just brought up makes me even more pissed at how people were reacting to Lex Luthor's actor.
Because once again, it was Lex Jr. He was a kid, not as experienced as his father.
Yes, and a different character altogether. Don't call bullshit and say, "Oh, bullshit. You're doing that for plot convenience." Then okay, bullshit that Spider-Man doesn't know his powers in 6 months when the other ones, since you're going to be comparing this Lex Luthor and saying that all the other Lex Luthors had a finesse to them. They were
because they were being played by a more experienced actor.
Right. And they were supposed to be that type of Lex Luthor, not another one. They were supposed to be Lex Luthor Sr. This was supposed to be Lex Jr. Here. And yet people are going, "He's still the other actor." So
It's
why-
basically, it's like you're putting a child in their parents' shoes and you're trying to have them walk around. They're going to stumble a bunch.
Right, and yet people are trying to really get the. I expect people to be pointing either bashing the Spider-Man, or I'm just gonna make a video literally saying this channel's a hypocrite, this channel's a hypocrite, this channel's a hypocrite. I'll call every one of you out for that.
Does anyone mind if I change the species here from spider to ant? What do we think of Ant-Man?
Hold on, I want to finish this. The last thing I'm gonna say is this: you have a point. You changed my opinion, but that also comes back to people's opinion on Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
If you're you can't compare this Spider-Man to the other two, just like you can't compare the new Lex Luthor to the TV shows and the movie versions, because they're supposed to be the one from the comics, the adult one who's the same age as Superman, whereas this one's supposed to be that Luthor's child, who's going to have some different traits because he has another. He's not just a carbon copy of Luthor. He's got a mother to get traits from.
Not only that, how he was raised, what he grew up around, a lot of different factors in play.
Right.
And that's what people see. That's what kind of restricts people who make these movies. That kind of restricts the creative freedom, because the fans themselves are the ones putting all of these expectations and weight on these characters. Because like Spider-Man, you got Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, you got Amazing Spider-Man, and then now you have Tom Holland. People are judging Tom Holland based on original Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man. They're not going at it as, oh, I'm going to go watch Tom Holland's Spider-Man.
Right.
So when you're going in, these different characters, when they're getting different, actors to play
and
them,
different setups for them,
different settings, different stories, different backstories, different events. You have to go in there, not, you can't think, oh, if this Batman isn't like Batman from 20 years ago, I'm going to be really pissed. You have to go in there with a fresh slate, so then you can be
right, because
amazed.
Even the comics did this. Batman was originally, bright blue and great Scott. And I'm not even talking about the show. Look at the original comic.
Scott's brown.
Yep. And you can even see character development throughout the entire time. Before Batman actually became a thing, before in his earlier days when he wasn't even published yet with the comics, before his persona became known, he was a vigilante that didn't give a fuck. He would use guns, he would actively kill in pursuit of justice. Then his character got more development, then he became, he wanted to be a symbol.
Right.
And then, he kept to his code of not killing, and one of the few times you only see Batman kill is in The Killing Joke, and that's a side story, that's different scenarios.
And not even that, there's also other no, actually there's plenty of times Batman's killed.
Oh, I know.
No,
here's an example.
Here, I'll even pull it up so you guys can watch the scene. Give me a sec.
And as a matter of
We'll
fact,
do that later.
As a matter of fact, aren't they going to be making a Batman movie like adapting The Killing Joke?
Yeah, it's going to be rated R. It's going to be animated. It's supposed to come out in the summer of this year.
Okay.
But the scene, I'll at least tell you what it is. It's from the Justice League Unlimited, which a lot of people love, and reference the scene where Luthor tries to hand Batman a gun, saying, "Here, saying, what's the problem?" Batman's like, "I'm out of batarangs." Luthor says, "Take my spare." He's like, "Not my style. I'll shoot yourself. I'm gonna live." Batman, in that same episode, lets Darkseid vaporize one of his own minions, thereby killing someone.
By proxy.
Yes, like,
It's basically taking a meat shield.
yeah. If you're not gonna complain about that, or like, oh, let's sweep that under the rug, letting him kill, then really, and plus they never explicitly showed him killing anybody in the Batman vs Superman movie, did they? Well, except for that one dream sequence. When's remember that?
There's the implication that the people in the car he killed.
No, there's an implication that he made them crash, and as we saw in this movie, when Winter Soldier made Tony's parents crash, they weren't dead, they were severely injured, and then
Bucky finished them.
Right. spoilers there, but we already warned you.
Spoilers a long time ago.
There's also
Okay,
the Russian holding Martha hostage, KG Beast.
Right. Oh man, that was actually. Oh yeah, I forgot about him, KG Beast.
Mhm.
But you see where I'm going.
Yeah.
Yeah, but one of the points that we're trying to make here is when you're seeing these different actors playing these different characters, don't let your own expectations crush their performance. You haven't seen their performance yet. Go in there, clean slate. You can give constructive criticism, but criticize that version
And
of the
use
character.
the other versions as templates, but don't get all bitchy if they're not exactly the
Don't
same.
base your entire argument off of a different character or the same character but a different timeline, different scenario. You got to go in there with a fresh mind, so that way you can perceive both of the amazing parts of the performance, but you can also see its flaws and give creative criticism. You can't just go in there screeching that, oh, I love this Spider-Man and Tom Holland fucked the character over. Oh my god, I'm never gonna watch any Spider-Man that has Tom Holland in it, because then you're being a whiny bitch.
Yeah. And now to move it on to Ant-Man like he wanted, I love Ant-Man.
I enjoyed that.
Ant-Man was great. You never saw the movie, did you?
No,
Are you
man.
Are you excited to see the movie now?
Yeah, I'm not the average moviegoer. I mean, this is pretty much the first Marvel movie that I've seen in like maybe
Last
years.
one you saw with me was the original Avengers.
Yeah.
Now
so
I
it's
don't know if
been-
maybe you've seen them like on FX or
No.
or like Redbox or anything like that.
But
No,
here's
it's been a good long while.
But Ant-Man also brings up another point we were talking about. Different character. Look, he is not the Tom Hanks. I remember my friend, not Tom Hanks, Hank Pym, sorry. Hank, they both had Hank in the name, I was confused for a second.
Saving Private Ryan would have been a much different film if it had Ant-Man in it.
Nice. But, yeah, Hank Pym, completely different character. They decided to go with Scott, who in the comics is the second Ant-Man. Man, they decided to bring him into the big screen for the first Ant-Man movie, not Hank Pym. Even though Hank Pym is still in the suit, just in flashbacks.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. People really. Look, it's a different take. It's a different idea. Yeah, oh my god. Where was I going with this? Oh, yeah.
I think he really got to
We
shine.
were talking about Ant-Man's performance.
No, let him finish.
I think he really got to shine during the battle, like him just being on the shield to knock out Spider-Man, and of course, we can't forget about Giant Man.
And when Hawkeye shot Ant-Man on an arrow to get inside Iron
That
Man's
entire
suit.
airport battle, people were not lying when they said that was going to be great. That was just full. That was chock full of moments, like for the fans, including Black Panther scratching Cap's shield, which I honestly thought was going to be earlier in the movie.
I really enjoyed Black Panther, though.
Oh, Black Panther was great.
Yes, definitely. One of my favorite parts of the movie. I especially like how at the end he realizes
Life lessons. He actually learned a life lesson. Just
That's
by
character
watching.
development.
Right. He
Yeah.
didn't kill the guy but he captured him to make sure he paid for turning Captain America and Iron Man against each other and having them nearly kill each other.
Black Panther could have easily even killed the guy, and
Or
had
just
his-
let him shoot himself.
Yeah, he could also let him shoot himself because very easily Black Panther could have had his vengeance, but he saw what would become of him if he had let that take over. He saw what Cap and Iron Man were doing down in the prison or the holding cells, wherever, and then he saw this regular man who had a very, very bad series of events happen to him. He lost his family in the course of one of the battles that the Avengers fought, and he was so consumed by grief and hatred that he didn't want to outright destroy the Avengers because he was just a normal man, but he wanted them to destroy each other. And he was going to go to any lengths to do that. How he framed Bucky and how he killed all the other super soldiers to, draw Iron Man, Cap, and Bucky there, and how he even showed Tony how his parents died. So I guess Black Panther just saw all that, and he didn't want that to become himself because, it would bring shame upon him, his nation, and his father.
Mm-hmm. And also, while we're on the subject of life lessons, because I didn't get to mention this in the other vlog we did, I want to mention it. Think it's a good idea?
It's a vlog, go for it.
The life lesson, the people complained and said that Batman and Superman suddenly becoming friends at the end made no sense and are making fun of it because, oh, our moms have the same names. Here's the thing, though. Batman throughout the entire film has been saying if there's a 1% chance of Superman being our enemy, I'm going for it. Even though he has a bunch of evidence that he could probably be on their side. Alright, and that 1% chance was Superman was not raised here. He has no attachment to Earth. As far as Batman knows. Mm-hmm. Batman doesn't know that. We, as the audience, know about man, seen him grow up with Martha and.
Yeah. Because to Batman, Batman has a contingency plan for, every enhanced person or all these superheroes. So he didn't know. He saw Superman as the man that fell from space, who was a godlike being who might not have no remorse for what could potentially happen to the Earth and her people.
He'll save humanity, but he has a detachment from them.
And also, so you can look at him attacking these other aliens as, oh, I want to rule on Earth unopposed, all by myself. Maybe I'm already a god, so why should I have to share it with others? Take them out, so I'm the solo. Yep. Or the humans can band with them to raise a coup on me.
Yep. And once again, it just comes back to people setting too high of expectations. Because what people don't like to realize is that even in real life, people make connections over the smallest things.
Right, and even back to that.
Even so, something simple is, maybe you're wearing the same shoes as somebody. You're like, oh, hey, I have those same shoes.
Right.
I really
you
like
want to know
them,
how I met my best friend, Michael? Before this, I used to make fun of him, calling him Mario every day. I noticed he played Yu-Gi-Oh! During middle school. I noticed he had some Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. We started talking, and we became good friends over a simple freaking card game. And I used to bully him by saying, Mario, running next to him every day, every time I got the chance to do it. Oh, wait. Mm-hmm. See? So, it's the reason why the partial change, the non-180, had to be done in the Captain America Winter Soldier was because, like he said in the end of the movie, he can't trust his own mind because his mind's been scrambled. Mm-hmm. Batman's mind wasn't scrambled. He was thinking clearly. He was just thinking, this guy doesn't have any attachment to Earth.
Batman was acting on what he thought would be the worst-case scenario.
Right. And he didn't know Superman was raised here. The aliens only said to the mass media that there had been one of their species hiding among them. How... You don't know how... These guys have godlike abilities. You would also think, maybe they have some form of eternal life, too, or something. Or eternal youth.
Honestly, the Kryptonians only gain those godlike powers because of the effect of our sun.
And our gravity.
And normally the Kryptonians were just how, we are on our planet on their home planet.
Right. That's what I'm getting at, though. He doesn't know. We, as the audience, know.
And there's another concept, as in... those people, the other Kryptonians, they were traveling in space, so they had no real perception of time. Because the way we perceive time is just how our own planet spins around the sun.
Right.
So to them, traveling through space, what they could perceive as an instant on our planet could have been, a lifetime, where someone landed there and somebody could grow up. When they thought, oh, he was sent to Earth, he's probably still there. He might even still be an infant. They have no perception of time, or even how humans perceive time. Because Kryptonians could perceive time completely differently, depending on how their planet orbits their sun.
Right. Batman didn't know Superman was raised here until he said, save Martha. In his brain, he just realized, as soon as as soon as Superman said save Martha, he's asking, why did you say that? Why did you say that? And then Lois comes in and says,
Martha Stewart in trouble.
And then Lois comes in and says, it's his mother's name. He then puts the pieces together. Okay, why would he have me save his Kryptonian mother? If his Kryptonian mother was on Earth, wouldn't she be kicking ass too? And why would he even bother asking if it was his Kryptonian mother? So he's thinking, oh, it must be a human adopted mother. Wait a second. He was raised on Earth. There's no way he's going to turn against his own
He values
mother.
human life.
So, I'm sorry.
Batman acted on a misunderstanding because he had a lack of information.
Right. And people, yes, they could have done it a little bit better by having him say, oh my God, he was raised on Earth. That would have made that scene near perfection, but it's still nowhere near a bad scene.
Mm-hmm. Or one thing that could have worked, Batman could have just, let him go and then said, were you raised on Earth?
Right. Exactly.
Adding a simple question, showing the character being incredibly
yes.
puzzled, like, I fucked up. Like, holy shit, you were raised here? Wait.
Yes. See? Those are small problems, but they're not like scene breaking. Right?
Mm-hmm. If anything, that can make a scene even better. Just
because you have to think.
The tiny little details, and you're thinking, man, like, oh, wait, Batman just realized.
Right, rather than having to make it obvious by putting a simple line in there.
Great ideas, not so great executions.
Yes, it's half.
I still don't think it should have been a full 180 because Batman is paranoid. It takes a lot for him to trust you.
I mean, yeah, he's a recluse. But he has childhood trauma. He embodies himself as the symbol of something he fears. He's a very troubled man.
Right. And I don't think he would really forget about that vision. I know you still haven't seen the movie. I don't think he would have forgotten about that vision he got, like, from the Flash.
No, he got that. I don't think he got it from the Flash, but maybe he got it from the Flash. But even then, I'd still say coupled with the Flash, it looked like someone was warning him not to do so, to keep someone safe or something, or try and change his disasterly future.
I just don't think it should have been a full 180. You're right. An extra line or two should have been added.
I think if that extra line or two had been added, yes, I can understand it being a complete 180.
Because another thing to understand is when you're looking at comic books and you're reading comic books, everything there can be explored to detail. They can go as much in depth as they want. But when you're looking at a movie, movies have budgets. They have set times. They have to pay the actors. There's production.
Right. You can't go 4 hours.
And what people realize is writing lines for movies, you have to pay the actors to say those lines. More work has to be done to add that in. So it's just, a lot of people, it's a movie. Movies are always going to be separate from the different forms of media, just because of how movies are structured. Their budgets, target audience, finding suitable actors, filming, redoing scenes that might have gotten goofed up here and there. People, they get so upset, but they're ignorant of these problems that these companies have to face. So if you just go in, not expecting too much, you can be amazed. And what people like to forget is they're seeing all these characters and they want to imagine some omnipotent being that they're just so above the rest of us. But you have to remember, many of these characters have humble roots. They grew up as a person, as a human. And being human means you have your good side, you have your flaws.
Right.
So, like in Tom Holland, I say he did a very great performance as Spider-Man. Because even though we're looking at Spider-Man as he's amazing, like he has to be perfect. But if you look at Spider-Man on a human level, he's very human. Mm-hmm. His inexperience in fights,
especially with
his social awkwardness, him trying to fit in and make impressions on these other characters. You have to remember, in this movie,
Right,
this Spider-Man, he didn't know anybody.
He was, yes. Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
He didn't know Stark. He didn't know Black Widow or Black Panther or even Cap. So he was trying to make an impression. You know, this is his first time. He's on the scene of battle, new suit. He's on Tony's side, and he has to make something of himself against these other characters that have had so much
standing up like giants.
Yes, in all respects, he is like a tiny ant compared to humans.
Right.
You know, it's very easy for him to get drowned out in the process of all these other characters. So he had to put himself on the scene. He had to step out of his comfort zone. He had to make an impression.
I got you.
And that's a very human aspect.
I got you. And yes, and again, that makes it makes great sense. I honestly,
and that's what makes a lot of these characters relatable to actual people like us.
right?
Because, you know, we've all had experiences like that. You know, first day of school, whatever, when you were a little kid. You know, your parents have always been taking care of you. You might know some other kids that, you know, there's your parents' friends' kids. So you have a little bit of interaction, but now you're on your own.
Right.
You're going to this place you're not familiar with. You're having to learn new things you didn't learn before. You're going to have to interact with a multitude of people with different personalities, the way they act, the things they do. Everything is a foreign world. So, and that's a very human thing to look at, you know. It's evolving and adapting to situations we're thrown in.
Right.
And if you put that element onto these characters in popular media and TV shows and movies, it makes the characters all that much more relatable. And that's how a lot of people can form these bonds with characters.
Right.
Because, you know, you look at Peter Parker, before he got his powers, he was just the average nerd.
Yes.
You know, he was socially awkward. You know, he lived with his elderly, you know, aunt and uncle. You know, he's in high school or going to college or whatever, and he's, you know, skipping his way through life. He's a very intelligent person, but he's never had, you know, much of a chance to impress himself on other people or to develop a more confident personality. Right. You know, he's got a crush on the popular girl that everybody's friends with. You know, he's probably having all these feelings like, I'm just a nobody and she's somebody. How could I make this work? How could I ever possibly make this work? Right. And, you know, he gets bitten by the spider, he gets his powers, or in The Amazing Spider-Man, he gets bitten, then he makes his own tools, and he's doing these things.
Actually, that was in the... Oh, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, and then he's doing these things, he's saving people, he's doing things that he's never done before, and it's exhilarating. It's a very brand new experience to Peter, and as a result, that's making himself more confident.
Right.
It's an evolution of character based on a human element.
And yet, yes, and also I don't see people complaining about how Jessica Jones's backstory is not the same as the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really want me to say a little bit of her backstory?
Probably not, because I wouldn't know. Because, like I said,
do you want to hear just for the bits of it?
It's your vlog, bro. Do it. Here's
the thing. She went to the same high school as Peter Parker. Mm-hmm. She had a crush on him, also on the Human Torch. And actually, the Human Torch got his powers first. Then, and later on, when she was about to confess her crush to Peter, he got his powers and was running away. Then, later that night, she was, let's just say, doing something to a picture of the Human Torch.
You know, like I said, she was, you know, infatuated with the Human Torch. Like, here's somebody who was this extraordinary person. He had these powers. He was a million leagues.
Yes, and yet now they turned her into an adult. She's way older than Peter. She doesn't even know Peter. And yet nobody's complaining, but yet Lex Luthor has to be the same age as Superman or Batman, has to act this way, has to know these...
You know, the saying is true, the fan base really does ruin the material, and that can be applied to anything. Books, TV shows, video games, movies, comics.
I know.
Because people get these visions, you know, they get these ideas in their mind, and they make it come to life, and they give it to you because they want to share that with you.
And yet you want...
And then you take it, and then you go, let's see, there's something wrong here. Let's see, there's something wrong right there. and you're spitting on the image, and you're trying to project your own ideas and your own ideals onto somebody else's creation.
Rather than just
The internet can't seem to enjoy anything anymore.
It's people. It's just another trait.
Not
People
only-
can't be happy with something.
Right.
Sure, they can be amazed with something, but then as time goes on, they'll start noticing these flaws, and they'll want to point it out, and they want to try to make it perfect. But it can't be perfect.
Right. Oh, and then here's something else. Remember how you said it shouldn't have been a 180, right?
Correct.
I call bullshit. Want to know why?
Go for it.
I've always been a Batman fan. I've been but literally, I've had interactions. I said Michael. A complete 180 after that. I stopped picking on him. We became close friends. And I said, hey, Mom, this is my friend Michael. The first time he showed up in my house to duel. And this was only the first time after a multitude of bullying. Mirroring the same scene where he's like, I'm a friend of your son's.
Do you really think the two events are comparable?
It's not a situation. It's all about perspective.
It's the perspective of, one, I was antagonizing somebody, then I find something out, and now we're good friends.
Well, if I find out that Batman didn't keep the kryptonite after this battle, then that's just gonna feel wasted.
No, Lois Lane took it before. Didn't she take it before he could do anything with it?
We don't know what happens to the spear after he kills Doomsday. After
No.
Superman kills Doomsday.
Oh, okay. No, I mean, took it away from the first time, remember? She took it away when he wasn't noticing. So,
And
maybe he does keep it around just in case he needs it.
That would be part of a 135 or 150.
And see,
Right.
even if he doesn't have the kryptonite anymore, then, that's just how it played out. There's endless possibilities for how this could have turned out, In this instance, I haven't seen the movie, so whatever. He could keep the kryptonite just in case, or he can, just say, fuck it, I'm going to put my trust in Superman, and he can get rid of it. It's all choices, so that's all up to the writers. They still have to make the choice. They're the ones progressing the stories forward.
Yes, for example.
All we can do is speculate. It's like, oh, did they keep the kryptonite, or did they throw it away?
Right.
Or who has it now? Or what's Batman gonna? What's his relationship with Superman gonna be now? Since they basically tried to kill each other, now they had a little makeup session. Like, what's gonna happen now?
Right.
That's all just speculation, and only the creators know, and they might not even know yet.
Right.
It might take them another year before they're like, oh, hey, I want to know how this goes now.
Right.
And they start working on it again.
Right. And here's something else. The Batman TV show, it was Batman who wanted to work with Superman, and Superman who was like, bitch, nah. And then it was, and then in the animated series, they both were like, bitch, nah. Get the fuck out from my territory. You're a fucking... You done fucked up. Stop doing this.
Different mediums of entertainment equal different stories.
Right. I'm just saying differences.
They had their reluctance working with each other in Superman the animated series. By the time Justice League rolled around, they were much more warmer to each other.
Right. And then also in The Batman, immediately after one event with kryptonite poisoning on Superman, they warmed up immediately. And yet no one seems to complain about that one scene. Or the fact that Batman was the one who was like, hey buddy, I want to give you some a helping hand. And Superman's like, nah, dickhead, go back to Gotham.
Mm-hmm. And, you can even see evidence of character development throughout the entire time. Because everybody knows Batman as the gruff, takes no bullshit crime fighter who is not afraid to, turn allies into enemies if the situation calls for it. But then, in one of the Batman comic storylines, Batman does things that are out of his character to save his son. It's different development because,
And he kind of feels like in this story he owes Superman because he nearly tried to kill him, even though he was trying. During the time, he realized, oh wait, that's what you were trying to talk to me about earlier when you said, listen to me. I mean, nope, I'm starting this fight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so he feels like he owed it to him because he was wasting his time with that earlier brawl.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, that's where the human element comes in again. Because when you look at Batman, when he was doing those things as out of character to save his son, guilt drove him to that. My only son is dead. All that guilt, all that grief, and he's like, I want him back. So he did that. He did it by questionable means, but he got his son back. Now, whatever consequences that causes, it's just the world's going to have to deal with it. And, because like I said, you see that character evolution from Batman being a gruff, a very, seclusive person. He has his troubles, but he is still human. He still has emotions. He still doubts himself.
Yes, and also you can apply that to how Tony Stark acted in this movie.
Oh, going back to Civil War.
Yeah, now we're going back to Civil War. Because, everybody knows Tony Stark as the cocky, playboy philanthropist.
Right.
Yeah. So, but then he meets the one woman and says, my son died because of you, and I don't forgive you, and I want you to know that. And you can see it physically affecting Tony. And even before, that agreement
and also,
was
I'd like
brought
to,
up... Well,
hold on. I'd like to make a quick joke. The little boy from Superman 4, everybody. That's what that woman is.
Yep. So basically, going back to it, and then Tony, that affected him mentally to the point where he had already agreed to sign that document that's saying that the Avengers need, supervision to rein them in. He had already agreed on that before even pitching it to the rest of the team.
I think that was the straw that broke the camel's back, because you haven't seen Iron Man 3 or Age of Ultron, but the seeds are there for changing Tony.
Yep, and then he even shows the rest of the team. He shows them a picture of the boy. He tells them what the boy was doing there, and then he says, and he's dead because of us. And you can see how that affected Tony as a person. Right. It changed the way he viewed things. Normally before, he would have just been like, shit happens.
No, and not even that. I was going to talk about that scene at the end where he decides, nope, I'm going to kill the Winter Soldier. Even though I know he was brainwashed, even though I know it isn't his fault, and I know that we should be bringing him in and locking him up, if anything.
But he was overcome by his anger and his grief.
Exactly. It was out of character, just like it would have been out of character for Batman.
Well, not only that, that wasn't out of character. That was a very basic human reaction. He just got really pissed off.
Right.
He was hurt. He felt betrayed because Cap knew about it the entire time. And then he had all that time to cope with the loss of his parents, and then suddenly, now he has closure. He knows what happened to them. He knows who did it, how it happened, when, and he knows why. So he has all these mixtures of emotions inside him, and he just said, fuck it.
Right.
He was too hurt to try to rationalize the situation.
Right.
And that's a very basic human element.
Kind of like how guilt guilt of you're wasting someone's time who could be saving their mother over some petty, stupid fight. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. That's the last thing I'm mentioning of Batman vs. Superman. I just had to make that comparison.
Yep. If you need to stop viewing these characters as perfect beings or godlike beings, you need to look at them like they're just regular people. And then you get to enjoy the character more because then you can relate to different things. It can even be the tiniest things. Like, people from Queens, they'd be like, hell yeah, Spider-Man's from Queens. Fuck yeah. Or, people that, like, Cap's from Brooklyn, people from, like, yeah, Captain America was born in Brooklyn.
Well, and Brooklyn versus Queens, and, yeah.
Even the tiniest things. And, even the transformation of the characters, Cap, scrawny little dude wanting to serve his country. He's sitting here in wartime. He gets snatched up, and then all of a sudden he
gets some super juice.
He gets some super juice, and then he becomes this powerful character, brimming with confidence. And
who is now banging his ex-girlfriend's niece.
Yeah. So, a point aside, that's something that people can look at, and it can give them confidence. Like he was such a little weakling before, and now he's so important. Now he's so confident. He's so sure of himself. And that can entice people to want to change things about themselves. Any little thing you can relate to and you can learn from.
Wow. Again, this just puts it in... I'm glad I saw both of these movies in theaters. There's I love them both, and my final verdict for the two, I went into this already midway through knew this was better than Batman vs Superman. Still think, even after hearing you, even after debating over and over, I still think it is better than Batman vs Superman. But I would say this is an A, and Batman vs Superman is a B. It's good. They're both good. They're both amazing. This one, though, its lowest points are just like, oh, you're sitting here nodding off a little bit. Batman's is...
Cringing a little
Yes.
Yeah, there is some cringing involved.
bit. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but overall, if I were to give a rating for Civil War, I would give it a good solid. What do you say, 9.4?
9.4?
I'd say 9.4 would be nice. And as regards to, as someone who hasn't seen Batman vs Superman or Ant-Man or all these other different things, go watch the movies for the experience. I would think, because it's amazing to go into a movie theater and see characters that only existed, on a page. You get to see them come to life. So that in itself is worth going.
Right.
And, if you didn't like the movie, well, then, yeah, you just didn't like the movie.
There's a level of giddiness that you can get from seeing Black Panther, Ant-Man, and Spider-Man in one movie together,
Quick
sharing
question.
scenes together.
Mhm.
Yeah. And if you're a comic buff, you're gonna be very happy sitting in that chair.
So you would recommend this at full price then?
Yeah, I would recommend it. It's very worth the experience.
Yeah, we didn't see it in 3D, but I'm willing to. I don't think anything came out to me as like you need to see this in 3D.
Yeah.
But still, we recommend like seeing this in theaters.
Yeah, it was a very amazing experience. The pacing might have been a little bit slow, but overall the experience was amazing.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
The action was very fluid. It was exciting. The interactions between
By
the
the way, I got a
characters.
question for you.
Hmm.
What was your reaction to the big brawl scene that they had with Cap's team versus Iron Man's team?
Poetry in motion.
Like, mine was, oh my god, this is fucking awesome!
Poetry in motion.
And if you like that scene, you're definitely going to like the scene they have in Batman vs. Superman, where you got Superman hovering over there, Batman with the riot gun, Wonder Woman with her shield and sword, with music in the background while they're getting ready to charge at Doomsday.
Mm-hmm.
How badass is that?
Another scene you'll enjoy from this movie is when Iron Man was taking on
Sorry,
Bucky and Cap 2v1. That was a very enjoyable scene.
And I'm going to say this. I am sorry for bringing up Batman vs. Superman so much during a Captain America Civil War vlog. The only reason is these two films are very comparable. Not only in release date, but in premise.
Mm-hmm.
Just wait for his Warcraft vlog where he talks endlessly about Super Mario Brothers.
One, I'm not...
You. It's a me, Mario.
So yeah, best Captain America
What in
Spider.
fun?
So yeah, best Captain America Spider-Man movie since 3 David Dom. Turkish Captain America, where evil Spider-Man has one of his henchmen's faces get bitten off by mice, and then it cuts over to a
Okay, I
striptease.
think we're had enough here.
So it was nice meeting everybody. This was my first vlog ever and my first time vlogging with the bros here. So you might see me again, but it might be a very long time. So don't wait. Don't fall in love with me because I'm going to leave you dry.
That it? Then nothing else in the movie we want to talk about?
Oh, end credits, the end scenes. Beautiful.
Nice setup for Spider-Man: Homecoming, and I like to think that the other one is for Black Panther.
Oh, yeah.
No, that one part of Black Panther, that was fucking awesome.
That will be. They will be. I can't wait for that.
Oh yeah, the next Spider-Man movie is going to be awesome because now since he has Tony's tech, it should be a very interesting experience with the.
I can't
Spider-Man
wait to see.
Homecoming.
It's supposed to
It's
be
a great time to be a comic book fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really
The
is.
next Spider-Man movie is set to play out like a John Hughes film. John Hughes is the guy who brought us things like The Breakfast Club,
Mhm.
16 Candles, that type of stuff.
Yep. Oh, and one last little plug-in. If you enjoy Ant-Man and you want to watch a theory of how he could theoretically destroy the universe, go over to the Game Theorist channel. A guy called MatPat, really cool, very
Shut up,
educational
you-
channel. You'll love it.
Shut up, you. Shut up.
Science!
You've done plugs before.
No, I mean, shut up, you. Don't plug that guy's channel.
You don't like MatPat?
I'm just kidding. I'm just
We can do
kidding.
plenty more plugs.
Nope. Die.
Bottled water, drink it. It's healthy for you.
If
Don't eat
you're gonna,
popcorn. it's
We're
bad for
descending
you.
into chaos. We should probably just cut this
Okay.
out now.
no, I'm doing one plug-in since you guys seem to do one. Let's see. What plug-in do I want? Got it. Go on right over to Screw Attack and watch Death Battles! Because you can, right now, well, no, not right now, but in 2 weeks, you'll get to watch Quicksilver get his ass kicked by Flash.
Toe Whiz and Boomsticks and 3 random goofs sent you.
Mm-hmm. And you might get a discount. Maybe. Probably not.